Okay, prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. Okay, so we finished 25 and we are at a section where Krishna Bhagwan is talking about the self-realized person and the regular person who works with attachment. And he gave all the reasons why we should continue action. Even self-realized people do action, but their reasons are different. Basically, that's what he said. And so same theme is continuing. And there is another verse about like an advice to the wise man over here. And earlier I had mentioned that they're going to tell you some management skills. I think somebody's Smriti Ji's needs to mute. Let's see if I can do it. Okay. So basically he's giving advice to the wise person how to manage other people. So this is one of them. There is another verse, but this is one. So everybody is at 26. The verse is, I'm going to chant the verse. Na buddhi bhedam janayata ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yukta samacharan. No is not. Buddhi behedam. Unsettlement in the minds. And since all of us know Hindi, buddhi mein bhed kar dena. Matlab confusion kar dena buddhi mein. That's what it is. Janayeta should produce. Ajnanam of the ignorant. Karma sanginam of the person attached to action. Sangha means attachment. Karma means action. So the people who are attached to actions. Joshayet is should engage. Sarva karmani, all actions. Vidwan here means the wise. Or here we can say the self-realized. Yuktaha, balanced. Samacharan, performing. So I'm going to tell you what basically is in this verse and then we'll read it. So the wise person is the one who has realized the self and the truth. And so how they should work. Now, Krishna Bhagwan says they also work in the world for Loka Sangraha. But, he's giving, and this can be used not just for the self-realized, any leader basically can follow this because there's a lot of good advice and there is a lot of logic in this. So how he should work with the masses basically. So here we are assuming that the masses are the one who are working with attachment. They have a lot of attachment to the action, to the people, to the place, and all the things that we are trying to overcome. But we also know that we also have it right now. We're trying to overcome. So this wise person should not work with them in such a way that don't create suddenly confusion in their head. If they're not ready to hear, suddenly if somebody is very, very, very attached, you go and start giving them Brahma Gyan, they're not going to understand, and they will get more confused and, that kind of thing. So he's saying that what the wise person should do is not ignore them, not start giving them Brahma Gyan suddenly, go mingle with them. Work with them, start doing action with them. And if they are doing something, you feel that they are doing something wrong, so you slowly change their mind. एकदम से झटके से के साथ नहीं उनको, बिकॉज उसमें अगर बुद्धि भेद हम लोग कर देंगे तो उसमें डिसहार्मनी हो जाएगी, यू नो. So usually what happens is that there is one word called doership in Vedanta. Doership means when I work with ego that and I feel like I am doing it. We all have that notion, I'm doing this, and if I don't do it, what will happen? And that kind of feeling. So what the idea is that the doership is very strong in an ignorant person. So you go there, work with them, and slowly teach them how to purify the mind by giving your own example. Because like we had learned that how the masses work with how they watch you. If they have shraddha in you, or if they look at you as a Shreshta Purush, then they will watch you how you're doing and they'll copy you. So you start doing some action to help them to purify their mind, so that they can go on that path, basically. And that's why you see a lot of times these big swamis and all who are self-realized and all, they go mingle with people. And sometimes some of the people who are like a little bit advanced, they think they're a little bit advanced in spirituality, criticize them. Hey, वो ऐसा क्यों कर रहा है, वो मर्सिडीज में क्यों बैठ रहा है, वो होटल में क्यों रह रहा है. They are trying to mingle with people. They have no interest in sitting in. If they can sit in a belgadi also, they will be happy. But we judge them, But the Krishna Bhagwan is actually telling them that it's okay. You should go and mingle with everybody, and you should slowly change their mind. That's what it is. And our own Gurudev's, I'll tell that later. So one of the good example one Swami gave about this is, say you're driving on a freeway, okay? And you are on the passenger seat, and this person is driving on the freeway, and then you realize that he has made a mistake. He's going in exactly opposite direction than what he's supposed to. Suddenly you scream, hey, stop or something, he'll have an accident. So, you gently tell him, and then he has to keep going and then make a U-turn whenever he can. So what Swamiji said, Chinmayananji, that go with people, hold their, they are doing wrong. Okay, that's okay. Go and hold their hands. It means cooperatively. Walk together and then slowly turn them. Like gently make the U-turn instead of going there and halting it suddenly. Okay. So another example is, like somebody just जो खुद सन्यासी वगैरह है, वो अगर किसी हाउस होल्डर को जाके बोलेगा ये सब फालतू है, बेकार है, सन्यास ले लो, क्या पड़ा है दुनिया में, ये वो आदमी बेचारा कंफ्यूज हो जाएगा. न वो यहाँ का रहा, न वहाँ का, न वो ठीक से काम कर सकेगा, न सन्यास ले सकेगा. So you don't need to do all of that. That's what he's telling him, that do it in such a way that it keeps the harmony, and then mingle with them and do it. And there is one more point over here that is going to come in Swamiji's commentary, and I'll talk about it. It'll be easier to understand when we go. He said that in the world, there is a dynamism of work. And say society is moving in one direction. May not be good direction. And it is like not a good direction, but the majority of the people are doing that. Galat kaam. If you suddenly go there with your jhanda and say, stop this is all nonsense, the whole crowd will crush you. And you will get annihilated. And तुम्हारा जो purpose है वही खत्म हो जाएगा. And so he actually, one of the Swamis mentioned this, like in the other civilizations, there were great self-realized souls. उनको बेचारों को क्रूसीफाई कर दिया लोगों ने. उनको जहर पिला के मार डाला. मतलब, it was so sad. So he's saying that that's the danger. So you have to be, बोलते हैं ना कि dexterity in action. Don't go there suddenly again, some, big, huge flood is coming, I'm going to stop that flood. No, you won't be able to stop the flood. That's where he's giving this advice, that it is a slow change that can happen. It is not going to be like suddenly, you can do that. And I think that's a very significant, because even in our own life, sometime, on a smaller scale, you have studied spiritual stuff and you have gotten some good results with it. And then you want to go suddenly tell all your friends and family and everybody. Half of them not going to listen to you know. So we don't need to get over enthusiastic about it, but do it gently. That's all he's saying. And in our own Swamiji's case, there was a lot of people came to him. Businessmen came to him. Householders came to him with all kind of household problems too. He never discouraged them. So he gave them proper advice. Go do this. Okay, go do this business. Do it this way and all that way. Ye nahi ki bhai, why you are doing that, certainly change and all that. Or start giving some Gautam Buddha's example. Usne apni बीवी बच्चों को छोड़ दिया, तू भी चला जा. Nothing like that. That's what he's kind of bringing this point over here. And he's saying when the right time comes, they will evolve. And we have hundreds of examples like that in the beginning, they were all confused and all, and slowly the confusion started lifting because of some great Swami. For Chinmayananji, there are hundreds and hundreds of people who benefited and, going on the spiritual path. So, and then there's another example of like a fruit. Fruit is on the tree. जब वो कच्चा है उसको नहीं तोड़ सकते हम लोग. वो पेड़ पे रह के ही वो पक जाएगा and all, फिर वो gently अलग हो जाता है. So he's saying that action से मत हटाओ लोगों को. Let them keep doing action and just teach them how to do better action. Divine action. And so suddenly if you stop action, that's not the way for spiritual thing. भाई सब कुछ छोड़ के meditate करना शुरू कर दो, he won't be able to do it. That's the point he's trying to make. So engage them in activity, and action itself will free them. And, obviously a good spiritual leader is who shows them the path, and with enthusiasm and zeal and all, maybe introduce them to some good books and inspire and those kind of things he's talking about. Okay, so this is the advice he gave. All right, let's read. Meera ji is here today. You want to read, Meera ji? Yeah, go ahead.
Let no wise man unsettle the minds of ignorant people who are attached to action. He should engage them in all actions, himself fulfilling them with devotion.
So here, just not to unsettle the minds of ignorant and who are attached, but engage them in all actions, himself fulfilling with devotion. So he should also join them. That's what he's saying. Okay, but yeah.
The chances are that when a man of equipoise and self-discovery enters the field of activity, he will be tempted to advise his generation on pure ethics and abstract ideologies. The generation, misunderstanding the words and emphasis of such a master, might come to a wrong conclusion that to renounce activity is the direct path to truth. The teachers are warned against such rash and hasty guidance, which might damp the enthusiasm of the generation to act.
So here he's telling him clearly that, that don't do this. I already explained the whole process, huh?
Life is dynamic. Nobody can sit idle. Even the idler contributes to the general activity. In this ever-surging onward rush of life's full impetuosity, if there be a foolish guide who would plunge himself in the attempt to stem it midstream and stand with upraised hands, howling to the nation to halt, he would certainly be pulverized by the ever-moving flood of life and its endless activities. Many a hasty master has made this mistake, and he had to pay for it. Here, Krishna is merely declaring a universal law for the guidance of the saints and sages of India, advising them not to go against the spirit of the times, against the power that might of the surging flow of life. Against the power and might of the surging flow of life.
So this is where I was saying that, the whole society is going in one direction. You suddenly go and try to halt it, you will get finished. So it's a very scientifically he's looking at the whole thing.
Nobody can step against this flow. From the ranges of the Himalayas, Ganga constantly dances forth, higgling and giggling, jumping and frisking, dancing, and she sweeps along towards the ocean. If we want to divert her course, it is not necessary, and surely it will be foolish, that we must dam her flow and then plan the diversion. On the other hand, we can slowly get her waters out and divert them to the required channels. Ere long, we shall find that the river herself has cut a deeper rut along the newly adopted path.
So here he gave another example of a big flowing river that you cannot suddenly change its course, but dhire dhire you can. That's all he's saying.
In this stanza is given out the art of guiding mankind, which can be used by leaders in all societies, be they social workers or political masters or cultural teachers. A society that is functioning in a particular line of activity at any given period of history should not be, all of a sudden, arrested in its flow, says Krishna. The leader should go along with the trend of the generation and slowly and steadily guide it to act in the right direction by his own example.
So here he's telling him that, give your own example, that tumko dekh ke log bole, oh, this guy, he's so calm, quiet, whatever, like how we look up, and then we can try to do what they do. So that's what he's saying. Very good advice.
A traveler motoring with the idea of going to Haridwar may miss his way and speed down towards Saharanpur, but the way to guide him back to the main road is not to stop him, because by halting, he will never reach his own destination or any other goal. So long as the wheels are not revolving on the road, distances are not covered. Keeping the wheels on the move, he has to change the direction of the movements until he comes to the right path and begins heading towards Haridwar.
So here this analogy is for action. That suddenly usko bole ki sab band kar do jo kuch kar raha hai tu. No. You can continue the action, just change the direction and the way and the attitude and all those things that what we have learned.
Similarly, man should act even if he is acting in the wrong direction, because only through action can he come to the right path of diviner activities and gain the fulfillment of his perfection. No wise man should unsettle his generation's firm faith in action. He must himself diligently perform the ordinary actions in a diviner and better fashion, and he must make himself an example to the world so that the lesser folk may automatically imitate him and learn to follow his infallible footsteps.
So we saw that the whole thing, right? Here, whatever you read, we already discussed. And Krishna Bhagwan's own example, Bhagavad Gita to unhone Arjun ko boli, at the battlefield, when Arjun surrendered to him and said that, I'm confused and, you are my guru, I'm your student, tab unhone shuru kiya. But he was with the whole family, Pandava's family, for a long time. He spent a lot of time with them, guiding them many, many different things. Tab wo Arjun ek wo मुकाम पे पहुंचा, so कृष्ण भगवान ने भी सडनली उसको भगवद गीता नहीं बता दी. कृष्ण भगवान तो अवतार थे, he knew everything. Why he didn't tell him before? Because Arjun was not ready. So they had a lot of trials and tribulations, Pandavas. They had to go 12 years in the jungle, 13-year Agyatwas and all that, and through everything Krishna was guiding them, keeping them on the right path. And they used to always look up to him and they ask for his suggestion, preparing them. He knew about the war was coming. They had to prepare mentally, physically, collect all the Shakti, weapon, how to do this, tapa, that, everything he guided them. So he himself is a perfect example that, how he guided them. That's a great example. Okay, so this verse is done over here. Anybody has Question, comment, or I want to add a point, huh?
I had a comment. I just thought that the example that he gives about traveling, down the wrong road, and then he says the destination, and just the example that he gives of Haridwar, I thought that was, such a nice, example to give. And हरिद्वार का दो मतलब हो गया ना, एक तो जगह हो गई और एक भगवान का रास्ता हो गया. I thought that was very apt.
Yeah, very good observation. True. उन्होंने ये दिया कि वे हरिद्वार का एग्जाम्पल दिया. There's a double meaning in there. भगवान के पास जाने के लिए भी you can't suddenly halt action, because that's one of the big mistakes happens, that hasting too much, going into meditation, not fructifying. So action is very, very important to purify it, and then you slide into it. That's what he's trying to say. Okay. Anybody else?
I think,
There are also.
yeah, go ahead.
You go ahead.
Sushilji, go
okay.
ahead.
I think what he's saying here, the realized person should not try to change the others that quickly. And in the same way, it applies to us also directly, that today, because of we are listening to you and listening to Bhagavad Gita and all that, and then from tomorrow, I'm going to change all of a sudden. It's not going to happen. So take that easy also. But this is indirectly, that's what's telling us also, that for our own use, you can't change in one day. So take it easy and don't get discouraged.
True. And I think somewhere along the line, whatever you said, Sushilji, there is actually a verse, and he used Shanay means dhire dhire hoega change. It suddenly nahi hoega. And that's the way Swamiji explains it. You take a flower, a bud le lo, and then say, oh, suddenly one day it should become a flower. And you try to open the pankhudi, wo to bikhar jayega. So it has to slowly open up the flower. So true, what you said is very good. Sneha, you had something to say?
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say, even a saintly person, by his actions only, he can tell the people to change, And so in the drama of life, we should not really get attached to any pleasures and also to any pain. So what the role of this guru is also to tell us that these are all momentary things. There should not be attachment. The real attachment should be towards God. And if we all have desires, and because of desires we have attachments, and because of that suffering comes. So that's why the guru, by his role of playing out or acting out, he can teach the people that they should be calm in all situations.
Yeah, so we did cover that point. It's good.
That's all.
Vandana, you have something to say?
Yeah, the fineness of the journey that Miraji just said, from Hardwar to Sushilji's mention, like a bud slowly opening, that path is so beautiful that don't expect immediately it will be the path to Haridwar, or from Haridwar to that flower opening. So symbolic and beautiful for this beautiful journey we are taking.
Yeah, and I think that we will ourselves feel the slow change, like when we joined the study group way back then, and then how everybody used to feel encouraged. And sometimes, because we were together almost for 25 years, that whole group in Houston, we used to find change in each other too, because we were so close, about 20 of us, that it was such a great feeling, when somebody, even this is just our own group, that was nothing like show off or anything. But if somebody say, hey, you know what, you've really changed now. This is how you're talking, and pehle dekho kya hota tha. So I think those are the really good moments of our journey that we should also relish while going. True. So anything else? Or shall we move to the next one?
So I had a comment about if you want to advise somebody to change, you have to be do like the way Krishna did, because Arjun wanted to change, or he wanted help. Because most of the time, you want to adjust yourself unless you have assignment to change somebody.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Can you explain that?
As is, unless you have the assignment to change them.
Oh, you are talking about from a very highly spiritual कि भाई तुम्हारे चेले कौन हो गया ऐसा? I'm not sure what exactly you
No,
mean.
not necessarily. In other words, unless you are I mean, every one of us has an assignment. And if your assignment is to change others, then only you do that. Otherwise, for most of the time, you leave things alone as they are.
No, I know what you're saying, but here, he's talking from a. See, one great thing about Bhagavad Gita is that it has something for everybody, no matter what stage of your spiritual journey you are. You could be a total Nastik, uske liye bhi, there's a remedy that start with this. And the person who is self-realized, here he's giving advice to the person who already made it also. So,
Right.
so the range is very big, and he is not discounting anybody's feelings, because in the world people are attached to action and all that. And if जो एक सेल्फ रियलाइज हो जाता है, वो उसके मन में यही इच्छा होती है कि सभी बन जाए. Like our teacher used to say that, hey, मैंने ये लड्डू टेस्ट किया तो अभी मैं चाहती हूँ मेरी सारी फ्रेंड्स टेस्ट करें उसको, मेरे सारे घर वाले टेस्ट करें, because it's so great experience. You want to. So, but he's just cautioning that because people are at different stages, everybody can move ahead in their journey or rise up in the spiritual thing. You have the capability, but don't get overly enthusiastic and like what everybody's comments that suddenly it's not going to happen. So the best thing is you go out in the society and then you work with them and slowly change them. And then you see that एक कोई सेल्फ रियलाइज होता है ना, उसके समझो 1000 चेले हैं, I'm just throwing out a number, उसमें से हर एक जन अलग अलग चीज लेगा उससे. You know what I'm saying? The person who has
The reason I was saying was that I met one Swami in Haridwar, Swami Ganeshanand, and he told me that, in fact, that's the way the scriptures are written, that you don't tell anybody anything unless they ask you the question.
Oh, of course. I mean, अगर आप बोल के देखो, if people don't want to listen to you and you try to give advice, they will just tell you to shut up and leave.
Right.
Who's going to listen to you? So even Arjun, we did chapter 1 and 2, right?
Yeah.
Krishna Bhagavan was completely silent in the first chapter.
Right.
Arjun was constantly talking. Finally, Arjun himself realized कि मैं तो एकदम confused हो गया बाबा. I don't even know कि fight करूं, भाग जाऊं, क्या करूं. तब वो बोला कि भाई, look, कृष्ण भगवान, I surrender to you. फिर कृष्ण भगवान ने मुंह खोला. उसके पहले तो कृष्ण भगवान ने भी नहीं. वही तो मैं बता रही हूँ कि कृष्ण, वो तो उसका सखा भी था, उसका रिलेटिव भी था. कितने साल बिताए उन्होंने साथ में. कृष्ण भगवान ने तो कभी उसको गीता नहीं बोली. He was not ready. True. And it's something like this class. We are all voluntarily coming over here because we are interested in the subject.
Exactly.
I may tell 20, 30 people, and some people may come once or twice and leave, and others have stuck around. So, of course, when you are ready, then only things can happen. Otherwise, it will never happen. And sometimes you listen to the same discourse at one time, कुछ भेजे में नहीं घुसता. फिर कभी 2 साल के बाद वापस पढ़ते तो all of a sudden, wow, this is like a gold mine. But 2 years ago, it didn't connect to me at all. It went all over my head. That's also we have experienced. So what you're saying, Joe, is very true. When you are ready, then, and when you ask, then only it happens. Okay. Meera ji.
Would this also apply to trying to convert people? Because we know, all of us know here, people will ring your doorbell and they will try to convert you to whatever their faith is, And I think they are also coming with the same feeling that, oh, we have experienced something very great about God, and these poor pagans, they know nothing about it. तो हम इनको भी सिखाएं, इनकी लाइफ भी सुधार दें. So I guess basically they are also thinking the same thing.
True, and वो लोग का, yeah.
अपने background से आ रहे हैं वो, और जहाँ where they are standing, they feel that, oh, they have experienced something so divine, so great. ये बेचारे पता नहीं क्या पूजा करते हैं, तो हम इनको भी सुधार दें, इनकी लाइफ भी अच्छी कर दें.
उनके दिमाग में वो घुसाया गया है. ट्रू. और यहाँ पर कृष्ण भगवान बोलते हैं कि there are many roads to the same path. और यहाँ पर भगवत गीता में ही 4 पैथ तो है, bhakti yoga. It's not telling you just do this. So to me, this is a very, very open book, and you can pick whatever you want, and but you have to do it the right way. So that's all it is. True. Okay, shall we go to the next? Okay, next one is a little heavy one because there is a lot in there, and I thought I will bring out some gunas and things like that, and what in Vedanta is considered Prakriti. So I'm going to go a little more in detail because if once we learn that, it will help us a lot going forward. Because the way Bhagavad Gita is, Krishna Bhagwan will mention many things, but he opens it up lot more in the, kind of, what should I say, subsequent chapters. Something like the 3 gunas. And, we were having this discussion about, Varna Vyavastha last time. They are connected with the 3 gunas. So we have to first understand the 3 gunas very, very well. Then everything becomes clearer and clearer and clearer. And also the, what is the nature of the Prakriti made up of? There is a whole science, and you will see that it is such an amazing science, Okay, I think there are some noises coming. Oh, sorry. Kya hua ye? No, sorry. I think I somebody's phone is or something. Okay, now it's quiet. So fine. Okay. So it's 27. Everybody has 27? I'm going to chant. Prakrute kriyamanani gune karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. Prakrute is of nature, kriyamanani are performed, gunehi by the qualities, karmani action, sarvashah in all cases, ahankara vimudatma one whose mind is deluded by egoism. Karta is doer, aham is I, iti is thus, manyate thinks. So, there are 2 points in Bhagavad Gita. One is, drop the fruit of action. That is a little bit easier to do. And the second is drop the doership. Doership is lot harder to drop. And, throughout this, whatever we had studied in chapter 3 so far, he said, do the action, but do without attachment, right? So many times that thing has come without attachment. So now the question is, it's not that easy to drop that attachment, right? We all know it, how difficult it is. What can I learn that will make me drop the attachment? That's the point. What is the mechanism of this world? By understanding it, I drop my attachment. So just keep that in mind. Now he's explaining him the mechanism of the world, how this world functions. एक तो चक्र उन्होंने बता दिया, right? कि भाई action कहाँ से आता है वगैरह वगैरह. Now he's opening up more. So like if you look at this verse, it says prakrute kriyamanani means all the actions happen in Prakriti. Prakriti means nature. Okay? Karmani sarvasha, all the actions. Sarvasha word means everything. So whether it is a spiritual action or it is a worldly action, both of them happen only in Prakriti. That's one thing. And ahankara vimudatma, vimud is somebody who is like a murk, like ignorant person. So जो अहंकारी आदमी होता है ना, वो उसको ignorant बताया है. कर्ता हमिति मन्यते means he thinks I am the karta, I am the doer, but actually everything is happening in the Prakriti. अब ये Prakriti है क्या? That's what we are going to learn. So they said all Prakriti are happened by guna. That word guna is there, right, over here. And remember, if we don't understand everything about guna over here, it's okay because the whole chapter is coming on guna. Chapter 14 is, I think it's 14. 14 or 16, I don't remember now. One of the chapter is completely dedicated to gunas. And we are going to learn a lot more about it. But at least I thought we can begin because a lot of things are connected with these gunas, you know. So what happens is that we're going to learn two different terms, Prakriti and Purush, and I'll get into it in a minute. But the ignorant person is deluded by ahankar, or you know, like I am the doer, that kind of thing. But he doesn't realize that, like, you know, in the Prakriti there is a intelligence that's working and there's a mechanism in there. It's something like we have a watch. Okay, watch has all kind of mechanism in it. उसमें पुराने ज़माने में चाबी भर देते थे, चाबी भरो खट 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 सब चलने लगता है, और आजकल वो बैटरी से चलता है. Once that mechanism is in place and it's working properly, the moment you put that electricity, it starts functioning. Boom, 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 like that, you know. Just think of this universe, something like that, okay? But there are various different parts. And remember we did the sheets, right? Last time, you know, the sheets. Just think of the Prakriti as the sheets. So you are different from the sheet. Remember we learned that the Om, or your own consciousness or your Atma, is different. So when you talk about Prakriti, it's made up of 3 different gunas. That's one thing. And then there are 24 parts to it. And then we will see what they are. So just think of like the sheets, and everything is connected over here. So you have the Atma, or the soul in a sense, not the Sukshma Sharira. Don't get confused with Sukshma. I'm talking about consciousness. Consciousness is the real thing, and Sharir, Mana, Buddhi is like a dress that we are wearing on top of it. Like sheath and the talwar, you know, sword and the sheath. So that's how you remember, kind of think about it, and it'll get more clear. So now what is happening is that the dress is very complicated here in the Prakriti, because it's made up of 24 different things, and it's governed by 3 gunas. So there are 2 aspects he's talking about. So in English we call it matter and spirit. Matter is Prakriti, or nature, you can call it. And spirit is the one that enlivens it. Okay? So, but matter in itself is inert. It doesn't have any capacity to function. In the presence of that spirit, it functions. And the 2 words that are used in Vedanta for spirit and matter is Purush and Prakriti. So here the Purush does not mean man, you know. It includes man, women, everything. Purush is just another name for that consciousness. Just a technical name in Vedanta. So then when it comes Purush and Prakriti, then remember it means consciousness. That's all I'm trying to, because those words are going to come. So I'm just trying to familiarize you with these words. So basically what it is that it is that Purush that lives in this body. It's just a symbolic way of saying it, that, you know, consciousness is expressing through this body. But if the consciousness start thinking, I am the body, that's where the problem comes. So by understanding the mechanism of the world, you will not be attached to it. That's why all this he's bringing up, because the next verse, 28, is a very significant verse also. And if you understand this Prakriti and Purush thing, then we will understand that one also better. And that's what will help us break our attachment. So that's the purpose. Okay. So this is, everybody understand this, that without electricity, no matter how sophisticated the equipment is, it's not going to work. You know, like one day the electricity goes for half a day or something, couple of hours, and see what happens. Neither I can do the simple task. I cannot charge my phone. I cannot, in certain cases, if you have a cooking range which is electric, you cannot cook. you cannot open your garage door, and you cannot use your computer, which is a very sophisticated machine. All of them shut down. Now apply that to consciousness and matter. No matter how great the matter equipment is, if electricity is, if consciousness is not running through it, boom, nothing is going to happen. That connection is not there, nothing is going to happen. So that's one thing. So now, what is Prakriti made of? Okay, and one more thing. Prakriti in Bhagavad Gita has been given different names also. You have heard of the word Maya, right? Maya, ये सब माया है, हम लोग बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में. माया भी प्रकृति है. So कभी उसको प्रकृति का है, कभी माया का है. Okay, and if you go in the symbolic like Puranic state, then Durga or Parvati is considered the symbolism of that Prakriti. And Shiva is that consciousness and Parvati is the Prakriti. You need both for the world to function. That's why you have that marriage of both, they can call it. So let's talk about the three gunas now. The entire cosmos, these three gunas are functioning, first of all. Nothing, no Prakriti is without Prakriti. You can say it's like a raw material made up. What is it made up of? Three gunas, that's one. And then we're going to talk about other elements. So everybody's heard of, abhi tak sabhi ne sun liya hai, sattva guna, rajo guna and tamo guna. And as I said, there is going to be a huge chapter, and this theme is going to continue, so we will learn. So if you don't get it at this point, don't worry about it, but I'll just try to explain whatever briefly this time. So the tamo gun is, in Prakriti, it is inertia. In English, we can call it inertia. In Sanskrit, we call it jadatva. Means just, you can say lethargic quality. Okay? It's like at the very base level, the matter will, अगर मैंने ये कुछ glass यहाँ रख दिया तो वो वहीं रहेगा. जड़त्व हो गया ना, it's an inertia, not moving. So our physical body is made like that, of jada tattva. तो अगर हमारा क्या बोलना चाहिए, we live too much at the body level, we will be lazy. बोलते हैं ना, ये अपने को feeling होती है, हाय मैं बस बैठ जाऊं, I don't want to do anything. Like here in America, they feel like the greatest vacation is you go and lay on the beach all day. That is jadatva. Okay? Inertia. So, what should I say? The second one is rajogun. Rajogun is activity. So in the nature, you see activity also. Like in the atoms, those proton, neutron, constantly moving. You see that? That is activity. So that is also part of nature only. So you have inertia, you have activity. Third one is satoguna, intelligence. Briefly talking. I'm not going in detail because there's a lot of detail coming about these three gunas. Intelligence is in everything, throughout. And we know that we are talking about intelligence because there is a harmony, it looks like chaos. Somebody was saying there is a chaos theory also. Chaos may be theory, means it is some kind of principles are working there, So in nature, you find these all three inherent things. When they are at complete balance, then nothing happens. And the way one of the Swami explained was really nice. He said when we go to sleep, all the three gunas are in balance, means they are not moving. They're just quietly shant ho gaye. That's why we are in deep sleep. Moment we wake up, there is one of the gunas is disturbed ho gaya. That's why we kind of wake up and start moving, So remember these three gunas. And now, one second, I missed anything. And he was talking about, we have this Big Bang theory. Big Bang theory is, okay, there is a singularity in the beginning, and then Big Bang happens, and then the universe start expanding and all kind of creation start happening. In Vedanta, they call it Bindu and Nad, Means see how similar it is. Whatever these modern scientists have come up with, these guys had already thought about it. Bindu is one singular point, and Nad is Om. So when in the singularity, when everything is back to the singularity, the vibration starts happening in it, and that's why it's called Anahat Nad, means without striking anything. You know, the singularities में थोड़ा सा vibration शुरू हुआ, that's how you can call it Big Bang, and then it starts expanding. You know, so that's what it is matching with our Vedanta, with the modern theory. So this is one aspect. Now let's see what other thing Prakritis are made of. And you've probably heard, a lot of you may be already knowing everything, and others may have heard partially few things, and see if you relate to anything. So in Vedanta, they say that there are 5 basic elements. Okay, so from that Bindu and Nad, 5 elements emerge, but they have a sequence of emergence. Okay, and the 5 elements they talk about are in Sanskrit mein Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal and Prithvi. Okay, so it's space, air, fire, water and earth. And the sequence it